Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. I am the crazy short hairy dude, and on today's episode, we are talking about the 13th and final day, the Battle of the Alamo. I will try to get through this. Um, so, as I said on yesterday's video, on the final night, there was no cannon fire. So the defenders inside the Alamo, who came from all over the country, uh, all over the world. In fact, there was people there from England and France and Ireland and Scotland, and all over the place. Uh, People from Mexico and various uh, states within the U.S. at the time. They were exhausted and hadn't had much sleep the last few days. So, with the cannons not firing, they fell asleep. And Santa Anna's forces moved in, surrounded the Alamo, and at around 4 in the morning, Santa Anna gave the order uh, for the attack. So there was a loud cry of "Viva Santana, Viva Mexico," and they moved in. Now they moved in from all four sides, and the Texans woke up, realized what was happening, and quickly jumped into action. And they were able to fend off the first wave. Early in the battle, Colonel Travis, who was defending the north wall, was shot in the head. That was it. He takes a musket round and is killed instantly. The Mexican troops then poured in over the north wall and a couple of the other walls and worked their way to the long barracks where Jim Bowie was, along with several others. And the fight in the long barracks became a very bloody, nasty fight. Very close quarters, and it was a bloodbath. Bowie is killed in his bed. Most accounts say that he was bayoneted to death while in his sick bed. But he probably at least got a couple of shots off, and you know, that was just who he was. Probably killed a couple of them. The last ones to go were Crockett and his men. They were defending the Palisades, which was the weakest point of the wall, but they were some of the best sharpshooters. And by the time they realized that the Mexican army had made it over the north wall and into the compound, it was a little too late at that point. So most sources say that Crockett and his men were killed there, either right in front of the chapel or right inside the chapel. The battle only lasted 90 minutes. And while it was very bloody and none of the defenders were left alive, they dealt a crippling blow to Santa Anna's armies. Each man fought like a wild tiger, caught in the corner. And yeah, they there was 189 defenders who all died, and the Mexican army lost hundreds and hundreds of men in this fight. Yeah, it was quite the blow. After the battle, when the sun rose, Santa Anna had his troops go around and see if there's any women and children in there. And among the survivors were Susanna Dickinson and her daughter. Uh, Susanna Dickinson was the wife of Captain Almaron Dickinson, who was one of the defenders. Um, and he basically gave her a message for Sam Houston and sent her and her daughter on their way, along with the other women and children. Among the defenders was one of my ancestors. Uh, his name was James Murray Brown. Not a lot is known about him, except that he was a farmer, I believe from Pennsylvania, born sometime in 1800 and died there in the Alamo in 1836. Uh, yeah, not a lot known about him, but uh, through some various sources, we've been able to uh, figure out that he was family. Um, so the Alamo's you know personal to me not only as a Texan, but it's personal for my family, um, which is probably why I feel so passionately about it. Um, After the battle and everything, they gathered up the defenders, and Santa Anna wouldn't even allow them a proper burial. He just ordered that their bodies be stacked up and burned. Because in his mind they were traitors and pirates, basically, and not patriots and people fighting for a free country. After, well, 6 weeks later, which we'll talk about more about this later, but 6 weeks later, the Mexican army is defeated at the Battle of San Jacinto by Sam Houston, his army. Uh, and the rallying cry for the Texans and their cry at the beginning of the Battle of San Jacinto was "Remember the Alamo." So I know that the term "Remember the Alamo" gets thrown around a lot, and gets there's been some jokes like, uh, you know, oh hey, do you remember the Alamo? Or no, he forgot the Alamo. And all the jokes aside, yeah, it is kind of funny. But all jokes aside, it is important to remember the Alamo. Um, yeah. Um, I digress. Uh, Juan Seguin, who had promised that he would return to the Alamo, but was unable to, uh, he did finally return to the Alamo after the war. Um, he and some of his guys, his men, they returned to San Antonio to the Alamo, and they buried the remains of the defenders. Um, Gave them proper burials. Although at that point it was kind of hard to distinguish who was who, so it had to be a mass grave. And if you go to San Antonio now, outside the Alamo, there is the cenotaph, huge, big, white marble monument. Uh, and if I remember correctly, that's where they were buried. At least initially, that's where they were buried. um, so yes, Juan Seguin did return to the Alamo, and he kept his promise, um, and he honored the defenders. So, anyway, that is all the time we have for today. We will return to the Texas Revolution in about 6 weeks or so and talk about the Battle of San Jacinto and all that happened there. And we'll talk about how Texas got started and the birth of the nation and everything. Um, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about Sam Houston and things like that. So anyway, I hope everybody is doing well. Hope everybody is having a great day. And until next time, God bless. Jesus loves you. And remember the Alamo.